Hello, my name is Rebecca Taylor, and I will be presenting to you my technology portfolio for my graduate course, MSc 645 from California University of Pennsylvania. I am in the process of obtaining my certification to teach secondary English language arts. So this little portfolio will highlight some of the activities that I have put together throughout the course, and it will show my ability to uh, compile these types of activities in my future classrooms so I can encourage students to be more engaged in materials through the use of technology and allow various learning styles and academic levels to participate. So it also differentiates my instruction by encompassing some of these tools. So before I get started presenting my activities and projects to you that I developed this semester, I first want to look at the International Society for Technology and Education's site because I want to discuss their standards when you're using technology. This organization really helps teachers pinpoint their roles as well as allows students to understand their roles as far as what their job is as learners. So in general, the standards, and you can come to this site, standards, you're going to click on that. And I think we might already be at that one. Let's see. Yep, here we go. So the standards themselves are designed to help teachers, students, and administrators get away from that traditional classroom model. They encourage teachers, students, administrators to adapt to the technology changes that are happening while at the same time thinking beyond what you already know. So adapt to change and figure out a way to use that for the benefit of the learner in the classroom. So if you come up here to standards, it's broken down for you. We can click on what the standards are for the students. And in short, the standards are really to empower students to use their voices, to be able to be their own force behind their learning. Instead of being in a passive role, it encourages students to be active. So some of the standards highlight, you can read for yourself, but I'll go through them quickly. They want students to be empowered learners, digital citizens. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Knowledgeable constructors, innovative designers, computational thinkers, creative communicators, global collaborators. They want students to take that driver's seat in their own learning. And in turn, for educators, the roles are a bit reversed. We're going to scroll down in a moment, but really the purpose for educators is to place their roles more in the preparation aspect, in the a facilitator aspect, where they're not the main focus in the classroom. They are creating environments for students to engage, for students to learn. They're not the ones holding the reins all the time. So things like being the learner in as a standard to be able to seek new ideas. The leader role, yes, is more typical in a classroom traditional sense. To also be a citizen and contribute responsibly in the digital world. Collaborator, that sets them more of an equal with colleagues and students to help facilitate new ideas and solve problems. Designing authentic lessons for the students, that's more of a preparatory role. Being a facilitator in the classroom, so again, not driving things at the front of the room per se, but actually driving things from a backseat role, and an analyzer, or the analysis, analyst, to be able to view data and collect data on where we need to go in the future. That's going to tie us into one of the things we're going to look at. So, in short, these standards really are a part of what the new road is for education, and allowing students to collaborate and putting teachers in a role where they are driving things, but not from a spotlight point of view. They're behind the scenes more. Okay, so the first project we're going to look at is my creation of an avatar. In short, an avatar is a computerized representation of, typically I've seen them as living beings, but I'm sure you could get a chair to talk, you could get a computer screen to talk very easily. And an avatar is molded to visually look and sound like a presenter. It could be the creator, or we could have dialogue with multiple avatars. But they're ultimately a way for students or teachers to present materials, information, without speaking themselves necessarily or looking like themselves. So, for instance, let's take a look at my avatar here. Let's have her talk for us, just briefly, just so you can hear the narration.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Taylor, and I'm a student in the MAT program studying secondary English, and I will be student teaching this fall.
Okay, so just so you see, this is a way I can speak. Maybe that looks a little bit like me. I could have made this a wild-looking avatar, and that would be a great way to substitute my own visual image, and also I could use a digital voice to present information to my students so that they might be more engaged with the material instead of just watching me give a lecture. They'd be watching and listening to an avatar, and it would feel more like watching a show. That's one way I could use it in the classroom. I also like how we used it for this particular activity to reply to a question in the course. And I mean, the avatars could be used on discussion boards, blogs, and shyer students might feel more comfortable presenting information this way. GoAnimate, Crazy Talk are two other programs that would allow me to have my students create a project using an avatar where they could essentially take on, for instance, say we're working through a Mark Twain piece. They could make an avatar of Mark Twain and pick a digital voice to have Mark Twain, the avatar, talk about why he chose to write the story and the main ideas of the story. That would help me check for understanding on the historical and biographical elements of Twain and his piece. So things like GoAnimate would let students use multiple avatars, and they could create characters if we're working on maybe screenwriting or creative writing with short stories. All in all, it's a great tool, very flexible. It can be used in many ways. Voki is limited with the free version on how long the avatar can be and the choices you have for actually creating an avatar. But all in all, a really useful tool for multiple ways to present material in the classroom. Now we're going to look at formative assessments that I've created, some tools with technology. A formative assessment is an assessment that assesses students to determine how they're processing the material. They are considered assessments for learning because they drive the instruction process by allowing teachers a chance to revise lessons according to what their students need. We'll look at Kahoot, Quizlet, and Socrative, and I have examples of each of those. Okay, so before I start clicking on the game itself, I'm going to give you some information because once the game starts, crazy music plays, and in all honesty, it flusters me. So, some of the pros are that it's a really quick way to get a quiz together for students of lower level information and possibly even spark up a discussion at the end if you include a question. You could insert images, I think videos, and there's a competitive angle to it. Some students may enjoy that, seeing their name on the scoreboard, as well as, racking up some points, that kind of idea. But not all students enjoy that. I'm actually not much of a fan with competition. So some of the cons are that, as you will see, it's going to be hard for students. Well, actually, you won't see because you won't have the student version in front of you. But when a student pulls up the quiz, all they see are blocked colors with symbols as answers. There are no words. So they have to transfer their knowledge from the screen of reading the questions and pick on a color with a symbol. instead of reading the words. This can be challenging for some students. So it's part of the reason I'm not really a big fan of this tool, because there's a disconnect with the materials and it can cause confusion, which then again, what's the point in doing it if it causes confusion? And honestly, I haven't found a way to disconnect the music yet. If that's possible, that would be great, because the music, as you will hear, it can be quite intrusive. So here we're going to get ready to start this up. I'm going to put in the pin. I'm going to enter with my name. And then we can start. And here it is. So the questions will load, a question will come up, and then students will pick an answer and say, we picked the first one. Oh, that's wrong. It shows how many students got it right or wrong. Of course, we're only playing with one person right now. And the same thing will happen again and again and again. But definitely some pros and cons to this game. This next formative assessment tool is called Quizlet, and it allows teachers or students to make digital flashcards. It gives them a few different ways to practice the material. You can include images, but it's not really a tool to make multiple choice questions or true-false questions, because it's geared more at the remembering level of Bloom's taxonomy, and it's just simply not set up to do the various type of questioning questions I just described. Some students may enjoy this type of tool. I personally prefer making my own flashcards by hand. But, this could be offered to students to practice. I could make some up, or they could make some up. Better yet, they could make their own up as tools to use. And so this is just the term and the definition on this flashcard view. But then you could also do matching. So like a little game. So we could find, oh, hubris, that goes here. Or let's see, something's hiding here. Oh, allegory, that's a symbolic device where the meaning of an abstract concept. So they could match things. There's a couple different ways that they can do things on this. They could do it learning, where they actually have to write in hubris. Yay, they got it correct. Then you press any. So there's all kinds of things that we can do here to mix up the way the information is presented, but still it's lower level, it's recall, it's remembering. It's not necessarily higher levels of thinking, but these are still important foundational areas to focus on, and it's another great tool for students to use if they want just kind of a little reinforcement with maybe terms or definitions, that type of material.